Change does not happen by accident. It happens when you no longer allow your life to be driven by things that do not serve you. When you stop moving just because others are moving. When you stop reacting and start deciding. The Stoic understands that transformation is not a mystery. It is a choice repeated until it becomes identity. You feel it. That quiet tug that something must shift. And the moment you listen is the moment your life begins to respond. Because your outer world cannot evolve until your inner world has changed direction. You begin with clarity. You begin by defining your purpose, not a goal, not a temporary desire. A purpose, the compass that cuts through fog, the center that holds when everything else wavers. Without purpose, life becomes motion without meaning, effort without direction, time without growth. Even the most disciplined man without purpose will eventually burn out. Because movement alone is not progress. You must define what matters, not what impresses, not what distracts, but what truly calls to you. This is not a question you answer once. It is a question you wake up to every morning. What am I building? Why does it matter? Who must I become to live in alignment with that vision? This is the foundation. Without it, you will drift. You will become reactive instead of creative, pulled by every storm instead of guided by your own stars. The Stoic chooses differently. He does not chase the world. He sets his sail and lets the wind carry him with discipline, not desperation. Your purpose is the set of that sail. Without it, you may move, but you will not arrive. When you define it, you begin to live with quiet fire. You begin to say no without guilt. You begin to endure without resentment. You begin to focus without force. Even pain begins to change shape. It no longer feels random. It becomes fuel. A reminder that your direction matters enough to hurt for. You are no longer lost. You are learning. You are no longer broken. You are building. But the building only begins when the blueprint is clear. So write it. Speak it. Burn it into the walls of your mind. This is who I am. This is what I will create. This is the life I will lead. From that point forward, decisions become lighter, not easier, but clearer. Because when the direction is defined, even storms become manageable. Even failure feels purposeful. This is not about speed. This is about certainty. This is not about being loud. This is about being rooted. And the most rooted man cannot be shaken because he knows what he stands for. This is Stoic philosophy, not in theory but in action. A life not of chance but of clarity. Not of noise but of meaning. And it all begins with a question you must answer honestly. Why are you here? Let the answer rebuild you from the inside out. Once your purpose is clear, you must turn it into structure. Because clarity without action is just a wish. And a wish without effort is a form of self-deception. The Stoic knows that if you do not shape your days will shape you. And they will not be kind. Life does not wait for your mood to stabilize. It does not pause because you feel uncertain. You must build rhythm not by how you feel but by what you value. The man who wakes only when he feels like it is a servant to his own weakness. But the man who rises because he said he would builds something solid even when he feels uncertain. This is the heart of self-respect. To do what you say even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because that is when it counts. When no one is watching, when no one will punish you for quitting, when the reward is far and the resistance is close, you must choose structure, deliberately, like armor, like a foundation, not rigid, but disciplined, not loud, but unwavering. The Stoic does not fill his calendar with everything. He protects his time for the few things that matter. He knows that a distracted man may work all day and still achieve nothing. But the focused man can do in hours what others cannot do in weeks. So simplify. Cut the excess. Guard your mornings. Protect your mind. Design your day so it supports your values, not your cravings. You will be tempted to drift, to scroll, to wait, to fill your time with things that feel like effort but leave you hollow. But you are not here to feel busy. You are here to be useful, to create, to move, to shape. And that shaping happens inside routine. Not the kind that numbs you, the kind that liberates you. A few non-negotiables that you do every day, without negotiation, without bargaining, without delay. Wake early, move your body, sit in silence, write something honest, do one hard thing. These small acts, done daily, become the bricks of transformation. The Stoic does not wait for motivation. He builds rhythm so he no longer needs it. You are not lazy, you are unstructured. You are not weak, you are undirected. And that changes when you choose to design your life like it matters, because it does. And no one else will build it for you. Not your friends, not your family, not the world. They are busy trying to build their own. You must decide. Now. Before another year passes in blur, before another day ends in regret, before another season is lost to noise. Design your hours so they protect your future, not your comfort. Design your actions so they reflect your purpose, not your fear. This is not about being extreme. It is about being exact. Exact in how you move, how you rest, how you say yes, and what you choose to say no to. Because every time you say yes to something meaningless, you say no to what truly matters. The Stoic understands that time is not money, it is life. And life once spent does not return. So spend it like it's sacred. Not someday, today, and then again tomorrow, and again after that. This is how you begin to build a life that stands. Because it was not rushed. It was not borrowed. It was designed on purpose. That is Stoic philosophy. Silent, exact, uncompromising. You cannot lead a strong life with a weak mind. And your mind does not become strong by chance. It becomes strong through exposure, through challenge, through quiet confrontation with your own thoughts. The Stoic trains his mind like a soldier trains his body. Not with occasional bursts, but with daily rigor. Because he knows that the mind left unattended will drift into fear, into doubt, into distraction. You must become aware of what you consume. Because everything you allow in becomes part of you. Every word, every image, every sound echoes in your decisions. And so you must filter not just what you see, but what you believe. Not just what you hear, but what you accept. You must guard your mind as if your life depends on it. Because it does. The man who feeds his mind with weakness will act from weakness. But the man who disciplines his thoughts will walk through fire and remain composed. This is not about pretending. It is about preparing. Life will not always be kind. People will disappoint you. Circumstances will shake you. But if your mind is ready, you will not collapse. Because you will have trained for discomfort. You will have practiced stillness while others panic. You will have rehearsed composure while others react. This is what the Stoic does, not because he is naturally calm, but because he has prepared himself to be. So how do you begin? With observation. Watch your thoughts. Watch your reactions. Do not judge. Simply observe. Notice where you escape. Notice what triggers fear. Notice what steals your peace. And then begin the work of replacing weakness with strength. One thought at a time. One belief at a time. One choice at a time. Read what strengthens you. Listen to what elevates you. Speak what aligns with your values. And act even when the fear still lingers. Because courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to obey it. And the more you refuse, the more your mind begins to trust you. And that trust is everything. When your mind trusts you, you do not panic in uncertainty. You do not need constant reassurance. You do not crumble when things don't go your way. You remain steady, because you are trained. You have seen your own darkness and did not run. You have faced your own thoughts and did not flinch. And now you can face the world without masks, without noise, without pretending. That is real power. But it must be built, and it must be built daily. Meditate, not to escape but to sharpen. Journal, not to impress but to clear the fog. Challenge your assumptions, not to be clever, but to be free. Speak truth. Not when it is easy, but when it is necessary. And when doubt returns as it always will, do not argue with it. Act in spite of it. That action will quiet it. That movement will dissolve it. This is mental discipline. This is how the Stoic lives, not ruled by moods, not swayed by fear, but anchored in chosen thought and deliberate response. So begin today. Feed your mind with strength. Discipline your thought with action. Protect your focus like a sacred flame. Because once your mind is strong, your life will follow. Without needing to chase, without needing to explain, without needing to fear. This is Stoic philosophy, carved one thought at a time into a mind that no longer wavers. A man who cannot control himself will always be controlled by something else. By emotion, by habit, by the opinions of others, by fear disguised as logic. The Stoic does not seek to remove emotion but to master it, to feel deeply without being overrun, to respond instead of react, because he knows that without self-mastery all other achievements are temporary. A calm face with a storm underneath, a strong body with a weak spine, an impressive title with a fragile core. This is not enough. Control begins within, not through suppression but through awareness. Not by fighting emotion, but by placing it in its rightful place. You do not let anger speak for you. You do not let fear decide for you. You do not let insecurity drive your actions. You let them rise, and then you let them pass, because they are not you. They are messengers, not masters, and mastery comes from space. The space between feeling and doing. The pause that holds power. You train that pause with intention. With breath, with stillness. You ask, is this feeling rooted in truth, or is it habit, ego, old wounds looking for a voice? You do not deny it. You examine it. Because when you understand yourself, you cannot be manipulated. Not by your moods, not by the world, not by your past. This is inner power, not flashy, but immovable. The Stoic does not chase balance. He builds it with deliberate restraint. He does not react to every insult, to every injustice, to every discomfort. He acts with clarity, and that clarity is purchased through self-command. Self-command does not mean coldness, it means alignment. 2. Live in alignment with your values even when your feelings beg you to do otherwise. That is strength, and strength is not built in silence. It is tested in the noise. In the moment, someone disrespects you. In the moment, a plan falls apart. In the moment, the weight of the day pushes against your chest. Do you scream or do you breathe? Do you collapse or do you stand? Do you retaliate or do you remember who you are? That is the test. And that test comes daily. The Stoic does not fear the test. He trains for it. Through journaling, through solitude, through holding his tongue when silence serves better than words. And each time he does, his grip on self grows stronger. You do not need to control the world. You only need to control how you show up in it. That is where your power lives. Not in the external, but in the internal. And when the internal is stable, the external loses its grip. You are no longer swayed by the storm. You have become the mountain beneath it. And from that place you speak less but mean more. You do less but build more. You react less but impact more. This is Stoic philosophy. Embodied, rooted, unshaken. Control yourself not because the world demands it, but because your mission deserves it. Your vision, your values, your future require a commander, not a captive. So take your post, not with violence but with vigilance, not with force but with focus. You are not your urges. You are not your emotions. You are the one who chooses what to do with them, and that choice is everything. You will not rise by accident. You will not evolve by default. The life you want will not be handed to you. It will be earned through effort, through discipline, through repeated choices, when quitting feels easier. The Stoic understands that transformation does not require luck. It requires responsibility. The ability to stop blaming, to stop delaying, to stop making excuses and begin owning everything. Not just the outcome, but the process. the thought behind the action, the mindset behind the failure, the energy behind the effort. Responsibility is not about guilt. It is about freedom. Because once you claim it all, no one can take it from you. Not the praise, not the pain, not the progress. You are no longer a victim. You are a builder, a student, a leader. And that shift changes everything. Most people avoid responsibility because they fear what it says about them. They think if I'm to blame, I'm not worthy. But the Stoic sees it differently. If I'm to blame, then I have the power to make it better. And that power is the only kind worth having. You do not control all events, but you always control your role in them, your attitude, your response, your next step. And your next step is what defines you. Not what happened, not what hurt, not what failed, but what you do next. This is radical ownership, and it is not a burden, it is a privilege. To wake up each day and say, this is mine, this body, this mind, this work, this life. Mine to shape, mine to improve, mine to live with integrity, because no one else can live it for you. And blaming others for your position does not move you forward. Only effort does. Only choice does. Only action does. So take the reins, without drama, without delay. Look at your day and say, what part of this is mine to lead, then lead it, no matter how small. Clean your space. Speak your truth. Take care of your body. Keep your word. Forgive what no longer needs to follow you. And move forward. Not with noise, but with purpose. Because every time you own your path, you become a little stronger, a little clearer, a little more grounded. And the man who walks with ownership is the man who walks in power. He is no longer reactive. He is responsive. He is no longer drifting. He is directing. He is no longer waiting. He is working. This is the root of transformation. To stop asking who is to blame and start asking what can I do, and then do it. Without fanfare, without waiting for the world to catch up. Because you're not here to be rescued. You're here to rise. And rising is your responsibility. Every single day. In every single moment, you choose to step forward instead of stepping back. That choice, repeated, is what builds a life you are proud to own. This is Stoic philosophy. Not just a way to think, but a way to live. Rooted in responsibility, driven by action, and anchored in the belief that no matter what happens, I will move forward because that is who I choose to be. You cannot rise without struggle. You cannot grow without resistance. And you cannot become who you are meant to be without enduring what you do not yet want to face. The Stoic understands that adversity is not an interruption. It is the process. It is not a punishment. It is the invitation. Hardship is the fire that burns away what is false, what is weak, what cannot follow you into the life you are building. And if you run from it, you stay small. If you resent it, you stay bitter. But if you embrace it, you begin to sharpen. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your teacher. And if you listen closely, it will show you what still needs to be strengthened. Your patience, your mindset, your discipline, your faith in your own path. Adversity is where these qualities are forged. Not when everything is smooth, but when everything is unclear, unfair, uncomfortable. The Stoic does not ask, why is this happening to me? He asks, how must I respond to become better through this? That question is the difference between suffering and transformation. Because suffering without meaning is chaos, but suffering with purpose becomes power. So do not waste your struggle. Use it, shape it, let it guide you inward to the place you still avoid, because that is where growth lives. No man becomes resilient by reading about it. He becomes resilient by showing up when every part of him wants to quit, by breathing slowly when anxiety rises, by speaking calmly when anger swells, by moving forward when comfort says just stay. And every time he does, he proves to himself that he is not ruled by circumstance, he is ruled by principle, by discipline, by the quiet oath he made with himself to keep going no matter what. This is the way of the Stoic. not because he feels strong, but because he acts strong until strength becomes natural, until challenge becomes a signal not to retreat, but to rise. You are not here to be protected. You are here to be prepared, and preparation is painful. But so is regret, and you must choose. One pain sharpens, the other suffocates. You do not get to skip the storm, but you do get to decide who you become in it. Let every difficult season be a refinement. Let every failure be a realignment. Let every loss be a lesson in what you can live without. Because on the other side of that stripping is a version of you with less noise, less weakness, less illusion, and more truth, more clarity, more grit. Do not wish for ease. Wish for the strength to face what is real and remain grounded, because storms do not break the mountain. They shape its edges. They carve its form. They reveal its strength. Be that mountain, not untouched but unshaken, not proud but prepared, not perfect but fully committed to the path. This is Stoic philosophy, to meet adversity not with fear but with presence, to allow it not to destroy you but to define you. And when it passes, as all storms do, you will not be the same. You will be deeper, sharper, and more certain that you can endure whatever comes next. You will never have peace until you let go of the need to control what was never yours to command. The Stoic understands that serenity is not the absence of struggle. It is the mastery of what belongs to you and the release of what does not. Most people suffer not because life is cruel, but because they cling to things beyond their reach. They want others to agree. They want the past to change. They want the future to guarantee. They want every outcome to obey their plans. But Stoic philosophy teaches a different way. You do not demand. You align. You do not grasp. You accept. Because control is an illusion. Outside the borders of your own mind, you cannot control the opinions of others. But you can control whether you seek their approval. You cannot control the timing of success, but you can control how relentlessly you prepare. You cannot control how long something lasts, but you can control how deeply you show up for it while it's here. This is not weakness, this is wisdom, because letting go is not giving up. It is stepping out of the war with reality and stepping into the strength of response. You are not a god. You are a gardener. You do not command the weather. You cultivate the soil. You do not shape the seasons. You shape your effort, your focus, your patience, and through that you create beauty in the face of uncertainty. The Stoic returns to this every day, through journaling, through silence, through asking the question, what can I truly control today, and what must I release without resistance? This is freedom to stop fighting what you cannot fix, to stop chasing what you do not need, to stop worrying about what is not your responsibility, and instead to pour your energy into what is, your thoughts, your behavior, your choices, your values. This is the circle you command, and when you remain, within it you find calm even in chaos, because the man who is not pulled by every event, every emotion, every expectation, is the man who walks with quiet power. He does not need the world to be perfect to feel peace. He has built peace within. You must do the same. Not just once, but daily. When someone misunderstands you, can you stay grounded? When your plans are delayed, can you remain focused? When your effort goes unseen, can you keep showing up without resentment? These moments reveal your training. The Stoic does not escape frustration. He trains to face it without losing himself. And the more you practice this, the lighter your mind becomes. The less burdened you are by things that used to steal your energy. The more present you become in what you can truly shape. This is how you win without controlling everything. Not by force, but by focus. Not by control, but by clarity. You are not here to bend the world to your will. You are here to move through it with integrity, with calm, with the kind of strength that does not break when life does not go your way. This is Stoic philosophy. To release and remain, to surrender and still stand, to let go and still lead. You cannot lead others until you first lead yourself. And leadership is not about titles or followers or applause. It is about example, about presence, about being the kind of person you would trust when things fall apart. The Stoic leads not with volume, but with vision. Not with orders, but with alignment. He begins by mastering his inner world so that his outer world cannot shake him. Because people do not follow noise. They follow clarity. They follow character. They follow consistency. And that consistency must begin in solitude, in the quiet hour before the world demands your time. In the still moments where no one is watching. That is where the leader is formed. When you choose discipline over ease, truth over approval, responsibility over blame. You do not lead because you are better. You lead because you have chosen to become an example of what is possible when a man lives by principle. And principles are not theories. They are behaviors, habits, boundaries, rituals. The Stoic knows that every word he speaks teaches others how to listen. Every choice he makes shows others how to decide. Every standard he keeps sets the tone for everyone who watches, even silently. You are always leading someone, your children, your friends, your team, your future self. And the question is never, are you leading? The question is, are you leading well, with depth, with direction, with the courage to do the hard thing before asking others to do the same? Do not preach discipline if you cannot rise early. Do not speak of courage if you avoid every confrontation. Do not ask for respect if you do not keep your word. The Stoic earns influence by first mastering his own life. And that mastery is not perfection. It is the refusal to drift. He reflects. He adjusts. He improves. He begins again without shame, without delay. That is what makes his voice carry weight. Because it comes from experience, not ego. From action, not performance. So if you want to lead, start here. Lead your body by caring for it. Lead your thoughts by disciplining them. Lead your day by choosing how it begins. Lead your environment by choosing what you allow in. And lead others, not by forcing them, but by showing them what strength looks like when it is quiet, humble, and reliable. The world is full of loud opinions, but it is starving for solid men. Men who do not break when plans fail, who do not lie when truth costs something, who do not abandon values to win approval. Be that kind of man, not to be admired, but because your soul demands it, because your future depends on it. This is Stoic philosophy. Leadership without noise, influence without ego, power that comes from living what others only talk about, and that power begins with you. You cannot find peace if you constantly chase more attention, more approval, more possessions, more validation from people who do not even know who you are. The Stoic understands that true wealth is not measured in things. It is measured in how little you need to feel whole. Because when you need less, you are owned by less. And when you are owned by less, you are finally free. Freedom is not in accumulation, it is in detachment. It is in the ability to walk away from anything that does not align with your values. This is why simplicity is not a limitation. It is a strategy. It is the sharp edge that cuts away what is useless, so that only what matters remains. You are not here to impress. You are here to express, to live fully without needing the world to clap for every step you take, because applause is temporary. But peace built on principle lasts. Most people live as collectors, of things, of compliments, of attention. But what they collect they must carry, and what they carry often becomes a weight that slows them down. The Stoic lives differently. He walks lightly. He keeps what is essential, and lets the rest go. Not out of lack, but out of wisdom. He knows that a cluttered life is often the symptom of a cluttered mind. And so he clears, he cleans, he returns to what is true, a room with fewer things, but more meaning, a calendar with fewer obligations, but more alignment, a mind with fewer wants, but more presence. This is real abundance, not in volume, but in clarity. You do not need to own everything to feel successful. You need to own yourself, your choices, your time, your values. When you stop chasing, you begin to build. When you stop performing, you begin to live. The Stoic asks, what am I doing that adds noise without adding meaning? and then he removes it. Not out of bitterness, but out of love for what is sacred, because your energy is finite, and if it is spent on the meaningless, you will have none left for what truly matters. So simplify. Not to do less, but to go deeper. Not to shrink, but to sharpen. Each thing you let go of creates space for something honest to grow. This is not about deprivation. It is about liberation. Freedom from the need to keep up, to prove, to be seen, and into that quiet space steps a new man. A man who is not distracted by every shiny thing, who is not shaken by every trend, who is not defined by what he owns, but by what he refuses to be owned by. This is Stoic philosophy, the art of subtraction, of choosing depth over display, of seeking peace, not through adding, but through letting go. And the man who can let go is the man who cannot be bought, who cannot be broken, who cannot be lost in the noise, because he has chosen what truly matters and lives by that choice every day. You do not rise by changing everything at once. You rise by changing one thing and then honoring that change again and again until it becomes who you are. The Stoic knows that identity is not fixed. It is shaped through action, through repetition, through quiet commitment to something higher. If you want to transform your life, you must transform your habits, not the ones the world sees, the ones that build in silence. What you do when you are tired, what you choose when no one is watching, what you believe when the old patterns return. That is where real change happens, not in motivation, in consistency, not in inspiration, in routine. Because what you repeat becomes familiar, and what is familiar becomes automatic. So take control of what you repeat. The man who constantly delays is not unlucky. He is untrained. And the man who constantly progresses is not special. He is rehearsed. Every morning he chooses to rise, to start, to honor the smallest task with the deepest focus, and that focus builds momentum, and that momentum reshapes identity. You are not your past, you are your pattern, and patterns can be replaced, but only through discipline, only through repetition, only through staying in the process long enough for the process to change you. Do not wait for the old version of you to disappear. It will try to follow. It will whisper. It will resist. But you do not need to feel ready. You need only to begin, and then begin again. This is how character is built. In the silence, in the morning routines, in the moments you want to quit but don't. Each time you finish what you once abandoned, you become someone new. Each time you show up without needing applause, you lay another stone on the path you are building. The Stoic walks this path not with speed but with certainty. He is not hurried. He is steady. He is not perfect. He is faithful to the work, to the process, to the invisible transformation happening inside him. So choose one habit and protect it, not for the outcome, but for the person it allows you to become. That is where the reward lives, not in achievement but in alignment, not in results but in refinement. You may not see the change today, but if you stay faithful, it will come quietly, suddenly, fully, and you will look back and realize you did not just change your behavior. You changed your identity, not by force, but by focus, not by luck, but by design. This is Stoic philosophy, to walk each day with awareness and intention, to know that the smallest action done with truth can become the turning point of everything, and to return to that action over and over until the man you've always wanted to be becomes the man you are. You cannot move forward while carrying what should have been left behind. Regret, resentment, old stories. They weigh more than failure ever could. The Stoic understands that the past is not a place to live. It is a place to learn. You do not erase it. You extract from it. You do not run from it. You reclaim your power within it. Because until you release it, you will repeat it. You will speak from wounds instead of wisdom. You will act from pain instead of principle. You will see the world through the lens of what was instead of what can be. And that vision is a prison. Forgiveness is the key. Not for them, for you. Because as long as you hold on, you are tethered to what already happened. You are trapped in moments that no longer exist, and your present becomes a battlefield between what is and what was. The Stoic releases what he cannot change, not because it didn't matter, but because it is over, and no amount of anger will rewrite it. No amount of shame will reverse it. Only responsibility can redeem it. Responsibility to respond now with clarity, with alignment, with new direction. You are not your past. You are your next decision. And every time you choose presence, over pain you free yourself to build again. The past is a teacher, not a sentence. You take the lesson. You leave the weight. And you walk forward a little wiser, a little lighter. But this can only happen if you are honest about what happened, about what you allowed, about what you must now do to live differently. Honesty is the beginning of peace, because pretending protects your ego but poisons your spirit. You must be willing to face it, to feel it, and then to forgive it, not to excuse it, but to stop carrying it, because healing is not forgetting. It is remembering without being owned. The Stoic does not let his history become his identity. He lets it become his instruction. He builds not by rejecting the past, but by using it to sharpen his values, to clarify his path, to deepen his strength. This is inner freedom, the kind that does not require external change, just internal permission to move on, to begin again, with a clean mind, with a clear spirit, with a grounded heart. Let go of what you cannot fix. Let go of who you were so you can become who you are meant to be. This is not weakness. It is courage. To stop defending the pain, to stop hiding in the narrative, and to start walking with nothing, to prove but everything to give. This is Stoic philosophy. To take the hard memory and turn it into quiet mastery. To take the old wound and build something new with it, not as a victim but as a creator. And from that creation you no longer live in reaction but in renewal. Step forward, not because the past is gone, but because the future is still waiting to meet the man you are willing to become. You are not here to live a life of noise. You are here to build something quiet and unshakable, not through domination but through discipline, not through force but through alignment. The Stoic does not chase perfection, he chases presence. He walks each day not to impress but to embody, to become the kind of man who lives with clarity when others are confused, who moves with purpose when others drift, who stands in silence when others shout. This is not weakness, this is power. A kind of power that doesn't need approval, because it is built on values, not on validation. You do not arrive here through one decision. You arrive through thousands. You choose integrity in moments of temptation. You choose humility in moments of pride. You choose courage in moments of fear. And over time, those choices become a life that does not fold when challenged, a life that does not shrink when misunderstood, a life that does not tremble under pressure, because it was not built on circumstance. It was built on character, and character is what remains when everything else is stripped away. The Stoic does not need to be loud because his actions speak. He does not need to be seen because his presence is felt. He does not need to win every battle because he has already won the one within. You are not here to be like everyone else. You are here to become who only you can become. And that path is not always easy. It is often lonely. It is often slow. But it is real. And in a world obsessed with speed, noise, and image, there is nothing more powerful than a man who is rooted, quiet, and true. You become that man through daily decisions, to show up, to begin again, to forgive, to focus, to simplify, to breathe. You are not building a moment, you are building a legacy, not one that needs to be remembered, but one that is felt by how you live, by how you lead, by how you listen, by how you love. The Stoic does not seek escape. He seeks mastery, of thought, of emotion, of time, of life. And that mastery is never finished. It is always in motion, always in practice. This is your practice, your philosophy, your path. Not to be perfect, but to be present. Not to be praised, but to be aligned. not to conquer the world, but to command yourself. This is Stoic philosophy, alive, embodied, earned, lived, one breath at a time, one choice at a time, one silent step forward until the man you are reflects exactly the life you were meant to lead.